In this lesson, we are going to introduce and talk about some properties of logs. We've already talked a little bit about a couple of them, but we have some additional ones. We have something that's called the product rule. So if you have two things multiplied together, you can pull these things apart, and it depends on what you're looking to do, whether you're solving equations or whatever. You're going to need to know and use these properties. So if you have two pieces multiplied together, so essentially it looks like this, you can break this up to them added together. That is equivalent. So you can take one log and break it up into two logs as long as you make sure that the bases match. Multiplication would turn into addition. So for these things, just a real quick, what would these look like? You could rewrite this as something like that. Now, depending upon what the directions are asking for, maybe it's asking you to simplify and it's a non-calculator and you're like, what do you do with this? Well, just in case, I'm not sure this is the answer or if they want you to go a little further, remember that there's other properties of logs, and it's the fact that logs don't keep exponents. So the other main properties that you end up using are if the base matches the number, it equals 1, and the fact that logs don't keep exponents, you can multiply it to the log. You can pull it off the log and multiply it in front. All right, so if you have something like that, it's not a coincidence that if this is a non-calculator or something, that 9 is a bunch of 3's and 27 is a bunch of 3's. So I rewrite it as that. Because then logs don't keep exponents, so we pull the 2 in front. And you'll have to double check to what the directions are asking for. Is it just asking you to break it up, or is it asking you to simplify? We pull the 3 in front here. All right, so that went in front, that went in front, and then log base 3 of 3 is this property right here where that simplifies to 1. So then it's 2 times 1 is 2, and then that becomes 1 as well. So then it's 3 times 1, and then that actually becomes a 5. So I don't know if they just want this, but sometimes they'll want you to be like, actually 9's a bunch of 3's, 27's a bunch of 3's, so there's further that I can go. So I'm only going to do it on the 1. The rest of them we're just going to break it up, make sure you're okay with it. So this thing is log base 3 of 9 plus log base 3 of 40. And then here you got natural log of 12 plus the natural log of 53. And then here you got log base t of 8 plus log base t of y. Okay, so that is if you have multiplication. If you have division, you can also break them up, but not surprisingly, if multiplication is addition, then division is subtraction. So on every single one of these, I'm not going to worry about whether I can simplify it further. I can break this up into 64 minus log base 2 of 8. Notice how we have two values here, so we should have two logs here. If we have two values here, we should have two logs here. And then here we should have two logs. And then here we should have two logs. So log base t of 8 minus log base t of w. All right, and then one last property is called the power rule, and it is just the fact that logs don't keep exponents. So we actually already talked about it right here. So if you have an exponent on a log, we pull it in front, and then you might be able to simplify it. But right now, again, we're not going to worry about that. We're just pulling the 4 in front. So it's equivalent to log base 3 of 27. 27 is a bunch of 3s, so we could go further with that, but we're just pulling the exponent in front just so you know that you can rewrite it. And it goes forwards and backwards. If that ever has a number in the front, you could also pull it back and apply it as an exponent, or you can pull the exponent off. So it's kind of, you can go forwards and backwards with all this stuff. If you have subtraction, that means you can combine it into division. And if you have multiplication, you can combine it into if you have addition, you can combine it into multiplication. So here you're looking at 2 log base 3 of 14, and then 3 natural log of 12. Exponent just goes in front, exponent goes in front, 8 log t of w. So property-wise, it's just p times log a m. All right, and then we're going to do just a quick couple more. And then next lesson we'll talk about expanding and condensing, so that'll get a little bit bigger. So just a quick refresher of this one, same thing. This is just rewriting it as a product, which all that means is this goes in front, log base a of 11. And then here, a little bit tricky, that fourth root of 7 is actually 7 to the 1/4. So log base a of 7 to the 1/4. So now that thing can come in front. So 1/4 log base a of 7. And then here, 6 natural log of x, because the 6 comes in front. And then the very last is, I want you to plug that into the calculator, evaluate that. Now this change of base is only if you have a little bit of an older calculator. Otherwise, you are just typing in this into your calculator using your log base feature on your calculator. If you don't know how to do that, you have to use a change of base. So you're either typing in log of 8 divided by log of 5, or you can do the natural log of 8 divided by the natural log of 5, and that 5 is the base. So then, or you're using your calculator with the base, the log base, where you can put any base you want, and you're getting this as an answer. Okay, so that was just some of the properties. In the next one, we'll go a little bit bigger on expanding and condensing and using all the properties all intermittent or all mixed together.